September turned out to be a strong month for Bajaj Auto as well, with the Pune-based automaker posting a 14% rise in total sales. Let's get across to Kevin Desa, who's the CFO at Bajaj Auto, to understand what the nature of this sales performance was. Thanks, Kevin. Good morning. Appreciate you joining us on Bloomberg Quint. I guess, Kevin, the first question to you is if you'd seen improved performance in this month, was it a factor of an improved market or an improved market share? Which of the two played a larger role?
I think it is a combination of both. One is definitely there's been an increase in the market share. We had started the year at a market share of 15%. In September, we are very close to 20%, and that's why full hope and the thing of reaching our target of 24% exited March is very much there. If you see the 14% growth that we're talking at the company level, it has been met with growth across all segments, whether in the motorcycles where we have grown by 7% and exports has been by 21%. And what's very good is that the commercial vehicles have done exceedingly well with a growth of 37% in the domestic market. So it's an all-round growth.
What was happening in the market? Was this, festive season related, restocking related? Because again, we seem to continue to bump into this disconnect between the macro narrative and what we're hearing from companies in the auto space.
Well, as far as we are concerned, I think it was not so much as a destocking or restocking, whichever way you look at it, because as far as we see it, the first 3 months actually our market share went off a little bit low because of the confusion that industry faced with the Bharat 4 norms conversion. I think September is a normal month for everybody in the industry in terms of the stocking that is taking place. The festive seasons have been good. Navratri for us, the Navratri period on a like-to-like comparison has been extremely positive, with us showing a 45% growth on the 10 months of the current Navratri versus the last 10 months. What is very, very satisfying for us is that the success of the new products, primarily I'm talking of the CT Electric Start and the Platina, which have done very, very well. In the Pulsar family also, we had launched the ANS, and that is done extremely well. So we are actually running short supply on the Platinas and the Pulsars.
Mr. Desa, good morning. There is a Goldman Sachs note which says that their channel checks with dealers seems to suggest that while it was a good month, there has been some decline that certain pockets of dealers have shown, some large dealers. What's happening on the ground? I mean, would October, looking at the commentary that you've given, would October continue to look as robust? And were the channel checks that some of the brokerages have done a bit of an aberration?
No, I think October would be like you see the shift in the festive season. So I think for us, at least in the month of October, you will see us continuing to show growth of about 7 to 8% in the domestic market. But as you go into the next half, that is November, December, etc., you will see us growing by almost about 20%. And this is because, among other things, the success of the products and the base effect. As you recollect, the last year at the same time, it was this entire confusion where Bajaj Auto had come out with a Bharat 4 norms, whereas the others were still selling at the Bharat 3 norms. So therefore, we had rectified our stocks last year. Therefore, for me, while I've shown a 7% growth in September, in H2, I would show a growth of almost about 20% plus in terms of the domestic motorcycle share.
Wow, okay. That is one. Two, in terms of market share, I heard you mention at the start of the interaction in response to Ida's question that you've gained market share. What's been the cumulative gain, if you can shed some light there, and what's the expectation for the rest of the year?
Our market share, which was approximately about 15% for the period, remains by and large at that point. If you're talking the 16-17 on a whole year basis. Now, I'm saying that in September, we have moved up to 20% at the exit point as against the 15.5% that we had seen in April. So there's a 4% gain in market share.
Okay. And one question from my end is on exports. What has, I know that this month exports showed a very interesting trend, very interesting uptick as well. Can that continue? Again, there's a conflicting picture there if you look at what brokerages are saying versus what is being reported by you as a company. The reporting numbers are fairly good.
Yeah. So if you see the exports and if you see, for example, even the last month we had shown an export of 134,000 numbers. In July, we see an export of 121,000 numbers, and this has gone up to 147,000 numbers. So this is not a flash in the pan. This is a rising trend and driven primarily by a lot of emerging markets that we have seeded in the past. So today, we export to 70 countries. We have fairly de-risked our entire exports, and almost about 20% of our sales come from the new market. What is very encouraging for us is Nigeria has stabilized, economy has stabilized, everything seems to be reasonably out of the dumps. And therefore, last month we did about 25,000 motorcycles to Nigeria. This month we have done another 25,000 for Nigeria. And therefore, as we go forward, we see Nigeria stabilizing at about 28 to 30,000 numbers. Hence, for us, as we have said, that we have done approximately over 800,000 numbers in this first half. We see the growth going to closer to about 900,000 in the second half, helping us touch a 1.7 million vehicles, which will be the highest exports for the company and ahead of our target.
I just wanted to, Kevin, come back to the India demand scenario as a final question and get some insight from you on whether you're seeing uniform increase in demand across the country. Are there pockets where you're seeing improved demand? Anything that you can give us as a read on whether you think this will be sustained demand through the course of the year?
Well, the demand seems to be sustained across. So for us, fortunately, we had the CTES and the Platina, which is taking care of the rural demand very well, because the price is very attractive, the feature is value for money for that. So the rural part of the country is taken care of by the ES, CT and the Platina, whereas urban India continues to go for the Pulsar. So to that extent, we are very comfortable in the geographical spread of our products and the markets.
And did you have to deep discount this festival season to be able to get stock moving?
Not at all, not at all. In fact, as normally in the festive season, you do have these issues of a little bit of 1,000 off here and there, which is always shared with the dealers and the company, and which is very much a part of the admin budget that is factored in for the whole year. So there's nothing that's gone out. It's only a shift from maybe the newspaper to the directly to the customer.
Okay, because, some of the dealers we were checking with yesterday seem to suggest, and this is not specifically for your company, but across the auto sector, that discounts were a little deeper this time round, and that in fact they were seeing a little bit of over restocking by manufacturers, in an effort to compensate for the GST-led destocking, and this was putting some pressure on dealer financing as well. Any evidence of that on your end? Anything that you can tell us about your dealer network responding to this?
As far as Bajaj is concerned, we have always followed the practice of billing exactly what is retailed. So for us, there's never been a situation where I bill more than what is retailed. In September, definitely we would have billed more because of the fact that in October there'll be the factory closure, where the demands will be higher. So you need to look at September and October in totality, and you will see that our billing will be equal to the retail. At any point of time, we would not have more than 4.5 to 5 weeks stock.
All right, we'll leave it there, Kevin. You've had a good festival season. Thank you very much for joining us here on Bloomberg.
Thank you for having me over.